Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Now finding a chronograph that looks premium, offers excellent reliability, never needs regular battery changes, and can still be purchased at an affordable price isn't easy today. So today we are looking at one of Seiko's hidden gems. This is the Seiko V175-0BJ0. This is a watch that doesn't receive the same attention as Prospex divers or the Presage dress watches, yet it quietly delivers everything most people actually need. So a bit of a short story behind this watch that I purchased. I looked at, the fact that you need to have a Panda style dial in your collection, otherwise your collection isn't complete. So as I was looking at different options available, I stumbled on the Seiko Prospex, but the diver one. But I thought that to be a little bit out of my league for the pricing. And then I stumbled on this particular model, which is the V175-0BJ0. Now this is a JDM, which is the made for Japanese domestic market, and it is a made in Japan watch. And I found it to be very much a dependable solar technology, a practical chronograph, solid everyday durability, and the classic Seiko styling that an affordable price compared to the Prospex or the Presage. I've had this watch for about 2 years now, and my review will cover a little bit about the design, the build quality, the V175 solar movement, everyday wear, accuracy. Again, things that I love about this watch, things I don't, and finally, whether it's worth buying in 2026 and beyond. Just a quick background on JDM, which is the made for Japan domestic market. Now, these watches are primarily made only for the Japanese domestic market, which caters to its local styling, local demand, and local market. And that matters to collectors, not just in Japan and beyond, because it is automatically better because it can offer a combination of rarity, different specifications, and the Japanese market design and stronger collection or collecting story. So JDM references are primarily intended for Japanese buyers, so you're less likely to see the same watch on someone else's wrist, let's say buying in the US and other countries. And the Seiko has historically offered dial colors, case designs, movements, and references in Japan that weren't part of its regular international catalog. That makes it interesting. And the made in Japan appeal definitely is different because this particular one is made in Japan and a JDM, and that makes it even more rare in terms of collectability for Seiko enthusiasts. Now, discontinued JDM watches can develop a following because supply outside Japan is rare to begin with, but that doesn't necessarily mean they become valuable investments. However, I'd like to emphasize what makes this watch interesting isn't simply that it's a JDM. It's that Seiko combined a beautifully restrained Panda chronograph design, a made in Japan case, 100-meter water resistance, and an extremely practical solar movement in a watch that remains relatively unknown outside Japan. So the first thing that stands out is the balance. Nothing feels exaggerated. It isn't trying to be a dive watch. It isn't pretending to be a racing chronograph. Instead, it sits comfortably somewhere between that sporty and dressy look. The case has clean lines. The chronograph pushers integrate nicely. The bezel doesn't overpower the dial. Everything feels proportionate. Now, obviously, the thing that really came out and was a deal maker for me was the dial. The dial has, if you see the close-ups, those nicely etched, those lines that are rarely visible from a distance, but as you look up at the watch from close up, you find these nicely parallel etched lines, which are just gorgeous. Now, many affordable chronographs suffer from information overload. This one doesn't. Everything is so easy to read on this watch. So as expected from Seiko, the case finishing is excellent for its price. You get a combination of brushed and polished surfaces. The transitions are crisp. The lugs flow nicely into the bracelet or the strap. So you can see I've given you the look of a leather strap and also a metal strap, which are quite easily interchangeable, and nothing feels sharp or unfinished. I mean, it goes well with both of the options. Even with the years of ownership, many examples continue looking surprisingly good. The chronograph pushers have a satisfying click. The crown operates smoothly. The overall construction inspires confidence. While it isn't a luxury Swiss watch, it certainly doesn't feel inexpensive. It kind of gives you the feel that the watch punches well above its price point. Now let's discuss what makes this watch truly special. Inside is Seiko's V175 solar powered quartz chronograph. This is the caliber corner plus one. This movement converts light into electrical energy and stores it in the rechargeable cell. What that means is no routine battery changes. Obviously, this is not an automatic watch, so you don't have to wind or don't have to keep wearing it for it to move. And approximately 6 months of power reserve when it's fully charged. And in my experience, all I need to do is keep the watch somewhere where there's a little bit of solar uh, exposure for about 10-15 minutes, and it kind of charges in my view. So the accuracy is around plus minus 15 seconds per month. There's a low power warning through a 2-second hand jump. So when the watch is on low charge, the second hands will kind of jump, skip seconds. So now that take it somewhere near sun and it'll charge. Now there is an overcharge protection, so leaving it in bright light won't damage it. Caliber corner plus one is for everyday owners. This movement is almost maintenance free. So you just have to wear the watch, let it see the daylight, and that's usually enough. For someone who wants grab and go reliability, that's hard to beat, and it really has been a very comfortable experience having this watch, because it requires very little maintenance, and you see those chronograph hand is, I don't know if you can see, it's a very minute, thin, precise hand, and it's got that greenish tip, and that is hard to beat. Sometimes I'm wondering how they're able to create this hairline hand for this particular model. So the Panda design has a 24-hour marker dial, and then there is the seconds hand that coordinate with the regular time, and then there is a minute hand that coordinates with the chronograph. So it tracks for 1 hour in terms of chronograph movement. So you can see there's a 24-hour hand that coordinates to signify whether it's AM or PM, and then there is a constantly moving second hand that coordinates with the regular time. And then you have the chronograph buttons, one for start and stop or to pause, and then the bottom one is to reset. That takes the chronograph hand back to 12 o'clock position. So this one is stated at a 10 bar water resistant, which is 100 meters. And again, it's good for light swimming or regular wear for water exposure, but won't really take it for diving. Now, as far as the specs go, this is a very comfortable and standard 40 mm, which is a very neatly, or 39 to 40, I would say, and then the thickness is around 11.5 to 12 and the straps you can interchange, the 20 straps, and that is abundantly available in the secondary market. So the watch gets a new life. Every time I feel as if I'm kind of getting bored with the watch, I try and get a new a new strap, and that gives a new look to the watch altogether. So for example, this one, it came with its original stainless steel band, and then I interchanged that with this leather one, which is the raised kind of look with white stitch for office wear. And then there is also the silver metal that goes very well with the watch. On the wrist, the V175-0BJ0 feels substantial without being heavy. So like I said, my measuring equipment showed about 39 to 40 and that's where it stands. And that's a pretty standard, for wrist of my size. And the weight gives confidence. I also, felt the watch taking off any of the bands. The proportions work well for most wrists because it's quartz. There is no rotor and there is no winding which is required. So no setting every few days. Simply put it on and you go. So this makes it one of those watches you'll reach out on busy mornings, especially office days or days that you basically do not want to be winding early in the morning. Now, one thing that was disappointing was there is absolutely no lume on this watch. I was hoping that at least that chronograph hand would have that lume because it had that green tip, but I tried in some dark conditions, dark lighting, and there was absolutely no lume, which was a disappointment. And kind of you don't expect that from a Seiko, but you get basically something a lot more for what you're paying. And then obviously you have to ask yourself whether the lume is really on that top 2 or 3 most wanted things that you want in a watch, or this is like an afterthought that you kind of say that, okay, if it were there, I would have liked it, I would have wanted it. And that's what my position is, because I don't really care about the lume. I'm not going to be in any condition where I'll be wearing this watch for the need for the lume, but it would have been a good addition. Let's discuss some of the pros and cons. So what I like obviously is this solid solar pod convenience. Then the movement is solid. There's the excellent Seiko reliability. I've had this watch for around 2 years, absolutely no complaints. It has this gorgeous attractive dial which goes with practically any condition or any situation. It has a very practical chronograph, very intuitive chronograph. It has that great everyday durability, the excellent again value on the pre-owned market I think is available, where many examples sell it roughly $100 to $250 range, depending on condition, depending on the color combination. Now this regular dial, the regular Panda dial does sell a little bit more expensive than the other dial that combinations that are available. Now I've seen many trying to sell this watch in aftermarket on Reddit, so that could be one of the areas to look for, because I don't see this watch available on the JDM sales websites. Now, what could have been done better? Obviously, one thing that I recommend or would have wanted would be a sapphire crystal case. Now, this one has the hardlex crystal, but I kind of think the reason why is they wanted to bring out a compromise of the Seiko Prospects, the Panda diver, and this would have meant that okay, cutting corners, but in a situation or in a way that does not affect the look and the wearability, but still you had to come up with the price cuts, and that would have been one reason to have the hardlex case, hardlex glass. Now the bracelet, depending on the version, can feel a little basic. That's why I had to go in and get two different bracelets, one leather, one this metal one. And this one again is a very easy to set, again good for office days when, and obviously once I've set it, I'm not going to be using it or changing it every day, but the first time having to adjust the stainless steel bracelets is time consuming. This one isn't. It's simply just open, pull or push, and then you lock, and then you basically have the bracelet going. Now the quartz won't satisfy the mechanical watch enthusiast, but again Seiko isn't pretending to be one. It has clearly mentioned solar on the dial. That clearly indicates that this is going to be a quartz which is powered by solar. So many also would find the case slightly thicker than a simple three-hand watch because of the chronograph movement. So they might find it a little bit thicker than regular quartz, but honestly, none of these were deal breakers for me. I love this watch, and the fact that this came in at a price point much lower than the Seiko Prospects Panda Diver Edition. And clearly it does give you the feel and look of the Prospects Diver Edition, and it looks gorgeous with that dial. Now, coming to the final verdict, should you buy a Seiko V175-0BJ0 if you're able to find it in the secondary market? And I would say absolutely. If you're looking for an affordable, reliable chronograph that asks almost nothing from its owner, it combines Seiko's trusted engineering with the convenience of solar technology and the practicality of a chronograph. And it may not be the flashiest watch in the Seiko's catalog, but it is one of the smartest watches. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this review, consider subscribing to the channel for more honest reviews of watches that deserve more attention. Until next time, wear what you enjoy and keep telling time your way. Thank you and have a nice day. Thank you so much.